Here we go. Good morning and welcome to Social Saturday. We're going to discuss some great ideas and background about how to bring more people into your club as guests and considering how to convert them to new members. We've all had a lot of challenges over the past couple of years between, COVID and switching to hybrid and changing locations. And now that things have begun sort of getting back to normal, we have the opportunity to bring a whole lot of new people into our clubs. And I think that's going to be a lot of what we're going to be touching on today. So to start off, I want to put out there that one of the highest response rates, that is, one thing comes out, one thing comes back, is when people ask one-on-one to invite people to the meeting. You hear about it a lot. My boss told me to try Toastmasters, or a friend of mine invited me. And these are the people who actually show up at the meeting, and because there's a certain amount of personal network there supporting that decision, people are more likely to stay in Toastmasters. So how we can leverage that is obviously having our members inviting guests. Now, the other thing that we have to consider is making sure everybody knows about our clubs. So we're able to use social media, traditional means, as well as additional networking to try for those. And those are 4 of the points that we're going to be making today. We're going to discuss asking people one-on-one and how to support our members in doing that, maybe by membership contests. We also have a little bit of information on social networking as far as our social media. We also have additional asking of people, possibly asking people to join other clubs. And there's also traditional methods like postering and handing out invitations. So to start off, I think it would be kind of telling to find out how each of you joined Toastmasters. How did you become aware of Toastmasters? And why did you visit your first club? I'm going to start with Susan. Susan, why did you start in Toastmasters?
Oh, that's a wonderful question, and I really do enjoy answering that one. It was several decades ago, many, in the 1980s, and I was up for a promotion. And I knew what it would entail, part of which would be working in front of employees and training them and developing some training, because I've done a pretty good job showing that I could make the effort. But I didn't want to get up in front of a group. I never had the opportunity. I was afraid to do it. I didn't know how to do it. And so knowing that this was looming as a nice possibility, I took a class at Marquette during the summer. I think it was a 6 to 8 week class. I figured, I don't know these people. I'm going to learn all I can. They're never going to see me again if I make an idiot out of myself. And I'll still learn something because it's Marquette. And I did. And I liked it so much that I wanted to be able to continue to doing that and doing a good job. And so I searched around and I saw this little teeny ad in, it was called at that time, the Graphic Pilot in Grafton, Wisconsin, which is where I was living at the time. And it talked about Toastmasters. Not much there, just said this is a club where you can get better at public speaking. So I went to my first meeting and wasn't quite sure what was going on because everybody was in suits. We met at a hotel. It was a formal dinner. It was started with a prayer invocation and it was parliamentary procedure. And I thought, holy crap, this is not what I want. But after the formalities and I saw the type of speeches and how nice the people were and what they were doing, I decided that's what I'm going to stick with. And so I was with that club for several years. And then life got in the way and came back again when I joined Direct Supply because we had a home club. And I've been a Toastmaster 20-ish years now. So I'd never give it up. I make sure I stay in touch no matter where I am in the US.
Excellent. Outstanding. Kathleen, how did you join Toastmasters?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I am one of those individuals that probably tried signing up multiple times. I think for me, and I can't remember exactly, it was just hearing about Toastmasters and wanting to improve my public speaking skills. So I went over to this little club at Promega in Madison, biomedical or biopharmaceutical firm, and went to a meeting and thought, oh, this is, and I don't know that I stayed with that meeting, but I kept at it. The idea kind of spawned me to then find a club later on when I was in a role that, like Susan referred to, I had to do a lot of presentations to large audiences and I needed help. So that's what kept me coming back.
Joe, are you connected now?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. How did you join Toastmasters?
It was my dad who recommended me that I join Toastmasters through, well, actually, he introduced me to Waukesha Toastmasters, but ironically, I found a club right next door to my home, Brookfield, what was the Brookfield Club. And in 2014, it was Jim Hoban and Kim Bjorkquist who and my friend Taras, those three men who warmly welcomed me at Brookfield. And because of the positive impression of the club and those three men, I ended up joining um, Brookfield about a year later because I recognize I have a serious need to improve my communication leadership skills if I want to be successful in like after college. So I have no regrets after that. Um, I've seen a great improvement in my communication leadership skills, and I still stay in Toastmasters because I have a lot more goals I want to accomplish.
Outstanding. I actually first found out about Toastmasters because of my mom. My
Hmm.
mom was invited shortly after women were allowed in Toastmasters back in the 70s, and she thought it was so neat. She loved the speeches, she loved meeting the new people, but she did not join. But hearing from her about Toastmasters and the fact that she thought they were so cool, she had actually waitressed for the Sheboygan Club back in the 50s, like shortly after they started. So she had been exposed to Toastmasters and she just never joined. And for me, when I found out about how my new office had a Toastmasters club, I ran in immediately. I joined literally 2 weeks after starting with the company. And I never looked back. I really enjoyed it. I met some amazing people. I learned some great stuff. And now I am encouraging people to bring more people into their clubs and helping them get those tools. Frequently, when you talk to people, you hear that they were invited by their boss. Their boss encouraged them to step up and learn new things about communication because they're going to need it for their next position. Or they'll be invited by a friend to hear their speeches or to take part in table topics, or I'm going to be the Toastmaster of the meeting next time. Please come so you can see what I'm doing. So these one-on-one invitations frequently result in guests. And the ability to bring people in based on that is, I believe it's underrated. And at the club level, it might be worth looking at to have an in-club type of incentive. You know, if you bring in a guest, you get a certain number of points, and at the end of a period of time, you win a Toastmasters mug, or you get an extra ribbon, or you just get a certificate because you are doing some amazing work for the club. All of these ways to support members in bringing in guests is possibly going to encourage them a little bit more. Another thing that might be an opportunity is, I call it Toastmasters karma. When you have other clubs nearby or where your friends are, invite them to the other clubs. Possibly going yourself as a guest to make sure they get in the door. But if all of your friends cannot make your club meeting, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't join Toastmasters. Encourage them to meet where they can. Sometimes they have corporate clubs where they work. So inviting people into Toastmasters, obviously bring them into your club when you can, but also consider inviting people into other clubs, just because that way it fits. When people are elected to the VP of membership position, I've occasionally heard club members say, thank goodness I didn't run for VP of membership. I don't have to bring in any new guests or members. And I think it needs to be communicated that everybody brings in guests. The VP membership is able to encourage people to bring in those guests, maybe develop a membership drive, and definitely make sure to have some really great material ready to share with those guests to encourage them and convince them to stick with us. But it's really up to everybody in the club to do those invitations. Have any of your clubs done membership drives? Have you done any membership contests recently? No? So it depends on your club culture a little bit, because some clubs tend to be a little bit more competitive than others. A few years back, one of my clubs did a membership drive, and we were encouraged to invite people to show up, and you'd also get extra points if that person then became a member. And we would receive a gift if we brought in, the most out of the whole club. And the gift was a really cute Smedley mug. So it was lovely and great. And even if you don't care about the Smedley mug, people who want to compete, that might just light a fire under them. So we had 4 meetings in succession. And over those 4 meetings, one person brought in a guest every meeting, and we converted 2 of them. And then another 2 people each brought in 2 people. And we converted 1 out of those 4. So in that 4-week period, we brought in 2 new members. And all it cost was a mug. So knowing your membership and how they react, encouraging maybe a membership drive like that can really light that spark. Other people tend to be more invigorated by just supporting, and you're supporting your club and bringing in those new voices just by bringing in those new guests and members. So if that's what motivates, that could be a way of talking them into it too. This all eventually can tie in to having all of your meetings set up early, because that way people know I'm going to be the Toastmaster for this meeting. This is my theme. I'm really excited. Those people then have the opportunity to invite their guests. If you have people signing up for speeches at the last minute, they don't have time to invite their guests. But if you have people signing up a couple weeks in advance, they can then reach out and bring people in to hear them. If you have special fun feature meetings, again, you can publicize ahead of time. And sometimes they're going to be fun, Happy Hat Day. But sometimes those meetings can focus on those specific professional skills. We're going to talk a lot more about evaluation. I know you just started being a team lead. Want you come on in and hear. Having those things set up early allows us to publicize, not only with images and social media and stuff like that, but it allows members to reach out to additional guests. I think if you're not going to have actual membership drives or membership contests where the timing is specific and you're really, really working at it, encouraging people over the course of a semester, a half a year, might not be a bad idea. If you bring in 1 guest every semester, we have a really good chance of turning them into members and increasing our membership at a nice regular pace. And that might be one way of putting it. Another way that community clubs can bring in new members is by publicity. We heard about people seeing ads in their local what are they called? Little selling magazines, little weekly magazines. We also have social media now. Many communities do have free newspapers to publicize their Toastmasters clubs. How many clubs actually do like PR in free newspapers at all? Oh, not yet. Traditionally, a lot of clubs have. I know I've seen I know Kathy Shine and Chris Poole have traditionally posted about different clubs in different free magazines. Here in the Milwaukee area, there's the Shepherd Express. In Madison, there's the Isthmus. There's a conglomerate of small newspapers throughout the state that used to be owned by Journal Sentinel. And there's some online newspapers that also have the ability to post different, yes, Patch is one of them. So using those free websites is a way of reaching out to people in a more traditional manner. All it involves is going to be investing by signing in your email, and you're able to post to their announcements and their events pages to get it out there. Some places are more traditional yet, and you would have to either email in a PR form or an email with the express information about location, time, contact person. But by reaching out to those newspapers, those traditional, actual physical paper newspapers or the online newspapers, you're definitely reaching out to people. Traditionally, we've also used posters. How many people have used posters?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, a little bit of postering. Good. And on the one hand, it can be a challenge just, getting out there and having the physical paper there. But if you post in some high traffic areas, if you post either large colorful posters with really obvious information about how they can get to the meeting, or little schnibbly papers that they can pull off and take with them, it really allows for people to have something tangible and remember to come to your meeting. Where in your communities are you able to put posters up? Okay, I know all communities have Starbucks. Susan?
In some communities, there are small family-owned or privately owned cafes that maybe sell other things, and all you have to do, I guess, would be to ask. The most they can do is say no, and they may say yes if you're nice and bubbly.
And sometimes smaller companies will also allow putting posters in their window. So if you've got a specific event, especially, they'll say, yeah, you can put that there for about 2 weeks. So put the poster in there for 2 weeks ahead of time before an open house or a special feature meeting. And you never know whose eye you're going to catch. Being able to get that information out there is going to make sure that even though there are some people out there who don't actually know any other Toastmasters, we're going to be able to let them know that we're here. We're able to help them with their goals. Come on in and meet us and see what we're all about. There are also libraries. Almost all libraries have bulletin boards. They sometimes even have an electronic calendar that, if you switch things up and meet in the library once just for a special meeting, that can often lead to some publicity. church organizations, social organizations. They all have these abilities to have you make announcements, network, bring people in, right? I'm actually working on starting a new club in Kenosha. So, Brian, I'm going to be reaching out to you because I know you're down in Kenosha. Sri, I just muted you. So if you'd wanted to share something with us later, let us, please remember to unmute.
Okay.
But we're starting out working on starting a club in Kenosha. So we're thinking about, what are our resources in Kenosha? We had clubs in Kenosha, so we have some former members, and that's actually an option. But we also know of at least one Toastmaster who's not in Kenosha, who's in a professional organization that meets down there. So we are going to be handing him a handful of brochures so he can invite those professionals. They're not all his best friends. He doesn't live down there, but he is going to be one of our ways of advertising this new club. So if you think outside the box, if you know of people that have additional networking opportunities, encourage them to bring maybe some advertisements, maybe posting to their own personal social media. You are not alone doing publicity for your club. So think outside the box, and you're not going to be some, manic PR machine, but once in a while, hey, could you post this to your social media? Because I know you have a lot of friends who do these things that they could really use evaluation support. Reach out and have somebody post about it. If it's in their office, if you know of a good-sized employer that just doesn't want to have their own Toastmasters club, post in the lunchroom about a community club. I know in Madison, there's a huge employer on the west end of that town that does not want a Toastmasters club. Instead, we encourage the people who have joined from their company to invite their coworkers. And we also advertise heavily around there as often as we can. So reaching out in different ways to invite people can really bring in some guests. Then there's also going to be, social media. Obviously, clubs have their own websites, but that tends to be a little bit more of an insular thing where you already know about the club, so you're a follower. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of Google success. One way to use technology to bring people to your meetings is go onto Google Maps and drop a pin where your meetings are and post that information. So you go to Google Maps, you drop that pin, you tell information about where and when your meetings are, maybe the free Toast host email address or something to be able to better contact you if they have questions. But it allows people to know, hey, there's a Toastmasters club here. So when they're looking around on Google Maps, that's one thing. If they go to Google Maps and type in Toastmasters and you're remotely on that section of the map that they're looking at, you're going to pop right up. So people who want to be in your club are going to find you. So now we're shifting a little bit from inviting people who don't know to making sure the people who want to come in actually come in. So that's the other thing. Using Google, using the actual search engine means making sure you have a couple words that are helpful in your free Toast host. There's a little bit of search engine search engine stuff. that you can plug in a couple special words like communication, networking, professional skills. And that allows us to optimization. Thank you. I'm stumbling over extra syllables. Making sure that you have a couple extra of those words, it can bring people to your website again so people can find you. And then we're probably not going to go into it a lot today, but there's a lot of different ways of using social media, posting to different Facebook groups, using Nextdoor, using LinkedIn. Being able to use that social media also can bring some people in as well. But today I really wanted to focus on encouraging members to reach out, using your own local area to advertise and bring people in, and think outside the box with reaching out to people who might not even be in your club, who might be able to help you do additional publicity to get your club information out there. Have any of you been able to share information about Toastmasters at other organizations? Are any of you in like professional organizations or service organizations? So I'm seeing that somebody might have, oh, it recognized that I hold my hand up. Thank you. Thank you, Zoom. I wouldn't have known that I had my hand up.
Okay.
Thinking outside the box and having like an image or having an invitation and being able to share it with people who can share it with others is huge. So as Joe says, first rule about Toastmasters, you talk about Toastmasters. Exactly. Susan?
Thank you, Teresa. I have a passion besides Toastmasters, and that is the Richfield Historical Society. And so I have subtly talked about Toastmasters, and I am happy to say that I will be doing a speech craft for several of the members in one of the committees, the one that I belong to. It was highly publicized by the leader of that committee, and she said, we were at a recent event where the president of the organization was speaking, and she leaned over to me and said, she really needs Toastmasters. So she has never been in Toastmasters, but understands the value of it. Then on the other side, I am working on my DTM project, and I am doing that with the Richfield Historical Society. So I announced that in front of the board of directors in September. This is what I was going to be doing, and that some of you might be involved. And I asked for volunteers, and I'm working with 3 members who are in the Historical Society right now to create. We're moving forward. We've already met 5 times for this project, and we need to have it wrapped up before the spring conference because that's where I want to get my DTM. So there are other organizations, and you just have to kind of ask if you can get on for example, could I get on your board of directors agenda for just 5 minutes? Because you all talk in front of people all the time. And it's interesting to me because with the Historical Society, you would think, well, they're volunteers, they're talking to everybody. They're pretty good one-on-one. So when somebody comes in, for example, to our general store during an event, they can engage in a conversation, just talking like you and I are talking right now. But when a family or a group comes in on a tour, look around. If you have any questions, let me know. So they're having the other people initiate, and they don't. They look and say, very nice, thank you, but they don't engage. So I think there's different avenues you can pursue with other organizations as well. Thanks for letting me speak.
No, absolutely. I totally agree. I volunteer with Doors Open Milwaukee, and Doors Open Milwaukee it's a day every September. It's a weekend every September where so many public and private buildings throughout Milwaukee are opened up so people can check them out. You can learn the history, you can learn of the people that used to live there, you can learn about the functions, you can learn about, they have the Jones Island sewage treatment plant open. And it's always really in high demand. You have to get there before the Boy Scouts. But in the past, I've been able to share information about all sorts of amazing buildings throughout Milwaukee. And I do these quick little blurbs and answering questions. I've done Toastmasters. But when I'm there, I have my Toastmasters pin on. I'm also in Irish Fest. I've been a key volunteer for a few years. Again, Irish Fest, I have my Toastmasters pin. And you get free fertilizer when you leave the Jones Island tour. So apparently Susan has been on that tour. Having, even your Toastmasters pin occasionally can start that conversation. So bring along your Toastmasters business cards and have people reach out to you. If your club has business cards, that's also a really great way, really quick and easy, hand it over. I loved your speech. I think that you have the ability to improve more of your speaking skills. We would love to have you, and we would love to hear your speech. Great way to bring new people in. If you're in a service organization, and I know that there are quite a few Toastmasters in D35 who are in like the Lions Club and Kiwanis and different organizations like that, you know what? Bring along a little bit of extra material about your club. Drop it off on the table next to the coffee if it's allowed, or invite other Toastmasters in to do a speech during one of those lunch meetings. Because one really great way of showing off what Toastmasters do is showing off what Toastmasters do. Bring people in to do a speech. There are a lot of experienced Toastmasters who want that experience outside the club. It would be great for a level 5 speech. And your club gets some really great information. Your professional or leadership club or service club gets some great information. And your Toastmasters club gets some publicity and maybe some new guests. By reaching out to people even less traditional ways, Joe talks about how he and Nico, who is an awesome guy from California, were able to talk the Uber driver to join the Nashville Toastmasters Club. And when you think about, well, Uber drivers don't really need to speak, you know what? You don't know what they're going to do next. If you tell your waitress or waiter about it, I was a waiter for like 5 or 6 years in college because it was not a normal 4-year experience for me. And maybe if somebody invited me back in the 80s, my career path would have been different. Who knows? I'm happy I'm here now. Things could have been even better. So inviting people, even when it's not thinking specifically about, I have to think about Toastmasters publicity right now, having the ability to just hand out a card, make it really quick and easy, that's definitely a way of spreading the sunshine of Toastmasters. So, do any clubs have club cards? So Lori's does. Excellent. Would that be the Waukesha Club or?
Thank you very much, Teresa. Love Laughter Club, we have business cards. We're like, well, how can we use these district dollars? Oh, we'll buy some business card thing and some ink, and that's why we used some last year. But yeah, that's always a good way to have something in your hand ready to hand to them.
Absolutely. Make sure that contact information is accurate and responsive. And that can be a challenge. I've seen a couple clubs that have lost a few members recently, or their members have lost their jobs and they had their corporate email address listed in Toastmasters. So all those emails are bouncing. Make sure and update that Toastmasters, your email information. Brian, did you have?
We used to, but trying to get back to it. I remember the last conference from Love of Laughter, a new woman was there. She was so excited. She gave me a Love of Laughter card. She was so excited about Toastmasters. It was cute.
It's excellent. I love baby Toastmasters. They're so excited. It's important to maintain that excitement though, because as you become more experienced, you have even more to be excited about. You're not just gaining that basic confidence, you're learning all these new skills, you're networking even more, and you're supporting other Toastmasters even more. And that's a really good reason to be excited.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry,
Yes.
I don't think I'm on video. I don't know what happened. I have two clubs that I attend meetings on video, but today apparently I'm not, unless
So one heads up is that since this is being recorded, there may have been a pop-up talking about it being recorded. I know that that's always a problem for me, but please let me know your question.
okay, first off, I'm not a VP of membership anymore, but I am the president of one struggling club, and I'm a member of the other one in Richland Center. Do you guys have any of your clubs have a dedicated email account so that when it just goes to whoever instead of just individual members? Because we're talking about that in two of my clubs. So do you have, like, for a business card, something that won't come obsolete, that just goes to whoever the officer in charge of that is, will have the password and just go to
So Amy, are you responding to this or did you
I
have something?
am, yes.
Okay, excellent. Amy is with
Yes.
Cream City here in Milwaukee.
Yes. Hi, Martin. At Cream City, our club has a dedicated email address, excuse me, an email address, which actually is awesome because as an officer, we all can access the email account. We actually rotate checking the account, and it's a great way for us to be able to communicate with visitors or prospective members or even our members because we have created like a email list, so sending out messages is easier. It's definitely worth checking out if that's something that your club is looking for. And I personally did not set up the email address. It's a Yahoo address. But once I became a club officer, I was able to access it and I use it all the time. I just used it to send out like Thanksgiving messages to our club members. And also it's a great way, I think, when you're following up with people who visited your club, just because they see the name. We have a signature line that has all of our names on it, our positions. And so it's just, I find it to be helpful in addition to obviously using my own personal email address. Thank you.
Excellent. So some clubs actually do go out and they'll create like a Yahoo or a Gmail account. Another option is many clubs use Free Toast Host, right? I know I have 4 clubs that use Free Toast Host. Free Toast Host actually gives you email addresses so people can reach out to the Free Toast Host emails. And that way you don't have to put up your personal email. You don't have to worry about losing that chain of possession of the password. You've got the ability to assign people to specific contacts. And it's usually, I think there's one for all of the officers, there's individual officers. So there's ways of setting up your Free Toast Host to have somewhat of an anonymized email address that can go to a list of people. And by default, and once you have it set up, that's how the Find a Club information gets processed also. Actually, no, Find a Club is the contact at Toastmasters. But when they click on your contact us button on your Free Toast Host, it can then go to whomever you have set up. So make sure that, number one, the email address exists and is being responded to. Ideally, have maybe 2 accounts set up because if somebody's on vacation, you don't want to miss those new guests, right?
right.
Right. We had a member, he passed away about 8 years ago, but he was very friendly, friendly Bob, we call him. But he was taking in the emails, but he was retired. He's only checking them every couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you need somebody to check on it regularly, almost daily.
Yeah.
you're going to lose people. You know, a retired person's like, well, I'll, I'll just wait a while to check my email. But when you're still in, maybe still in the working world, I'm not picking on retired people. You're in a habit of checking emails and daily. You get too many piled up junking emails if I wait too long. You ever try anyway? You ever tried to delete an account? They never delete. You know, I'm at email companies. Just joking around. Thanks.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Make sure that it's being monitored, make sure it's being responded to, especially like during COVID, I would reach out to a club and say, you know, you're meeting in about 2 hours. I'd love to visit you. And they wouldn't respond. About 2 weeks ago, I sent out emails to everybody to all the clubs that had a contact us email address on Toastmasters.org, the Find a Club. And I know at least 10% didn't respond at all. So that's the other email address to double check. Go to your Toastmasters.org, go into your Club Central, and check the meeting settings to make sure that your club has a working, responsive email address. Because if people are looking for you and they reach out and you don't respond, they're not going to come to your meeting, right? So probably the only other thing that I can think of right off the bat is, you know, making sure you have good signage. So when people do step out of their house and actually get to the building, they know how to find you. I've had some clubs where I would try to visit them as the area director, and I'd be wandering through these big old business buildings, and it would take me like 15 minutes to find the club. So try to make sure you have signage right out there by the parking lot. We used to have some signs that you could stick in the dirt outside so you could find people easier. Make sure that if you have to go around some corners or whatever, maybe put up an extra sign or two so people can literally find you. We're not playing hide and seek. This isn't Toastmasters hide and seek. We're not trying to hide from people. We really want them to find us. Right? So I know that we've covered a huge swath of different topics. If there's anything that works in your club that I didn't mention, I would love to hear it, because I really want everybody to share some really great best practices.
Teresa?
Yep.
I'm in 3 clubs: Waukesha Toastmasters, Love of Laughter, and Resource Advanced Toastmasters. And I'm the VPPR of all 3 clubs. So I utilize social media, Facebook mostly, but then we might have a member that says, well, you know, how many members did you really get using Facebook? And I'm like, I don't know. So we talk a lot about that. What seems to work well in the Love of Laughter Club is Meetup. We have our own, you know, we have the Southeast Wisconsin overall Meetup conglomerate, but we have a really nice Meetup page with our picture and good description and specific. So Meetup works good with Love of Laughter. The Waukesha Club, we get quite a few contacts from Toastmasters International. What you were just talking about, Teresa. So I know our stuff must be correct, but I'm going to still check it anyway. But again, we get a lot of people, you know, inquiring, and I've got a standard thing that's with all the contacts, all our social media is on there. And so we get a lot of guests through there, and I have a list long that I keep still emailing me. You know, maybe they couldn't make it for that month, and so try next month. They may, you know, keep inviting them is what I'm getting at. And one lady said to me once years ago, well, I decided to come because she bugged me so much. I just said, I better go. So, and I'm sure she joined. You know, I'm like, you should have joined 6 months ago. So you're gonna find different things for different clubs, but those are the two of the things that we utilize quite a bit.
Excellent. With a club Facebook page or social media like that, it doesn't always end up being the thing that people search out and find as like the actual public relations thing, but it can be something that's really easily shareable. So all of your members have the ability to, share something awesome about an upcoming meeting or an upcoming event, or even to talk about, look at all these people, we're getting together, we're having fun. See, you want to do this with me. So it's not quite the publicity thing so much as it's a tool to make those extra connections and to retain your current members, maintain that communication. So I love social media. I just don't tend to emphasize it as a PR tool as much because it's not the obvious, really quick, this is how you see us type of thing as much. But yeah, definitely Waukesha and Love of Laughter both have a lot of really great posts. Susan.
Thank you, Teresa. I'm going to build on something that Lori just talked about, Meetup, because in the Menominee Falls Club, we also have a very nice ad that goes out on Meetup. And we have done something additional, and that is to ask our members to sign up online to attend the meeting. Because when people come and they see Meetup and they see one or two people, it's like, nobody going, so there must not be a good reason to go. But if you just sign up, you're going to be there anyways. Just go on social media and say, I'm going to be there. It's real easy to do. And then there's a follow-up. So if you do go to the meeting, it asks you, if you sign up, it asks you, how did you like your meeting? And you get to give it up to 5 stars. I always press the 5-star button, and then I have a chance to write a little bit about my experience. And so I try to make a very ebullient, it was great. We had 4 speakers and we learned this and we had a guest and, that kind of stuff. Can't wait for the next meeting. So it's what other people see. They don't know that you're a member of the club because you can post your full name, part of your name. I just put Susan B. And if it comes up as club member, I am still showing my enthusiasm. So build on those things that are out there and you can do for free.
Absolutely. So we will be having an actual meetup session coming up. I believe it's next month. So, make sure and wake up early that Saturday. But all clubs, all non-corporate clubs have meetup events posted. I have some generic material in there for all clubs, but if nobody is signing up, the event is there. Maybe people will still show up, I'm hoping. But it does work better if people are RSVPing and showing that they're going to be there. Definitely.
Yeah.
So Ryan,
I have a problem. I try to get people to sign up for our club, and I don't know. It's just culture. People don't understand technology, or they don't understand that they need to sign up on the meetup because 1 or 2 people doesn't work. If I saw a club, I think it was Love of Laughter, it's like half a dozen people signed up on it.
Yep.
I'm looking at Lori.
Yep, they're very
It doesn't work,
reactive. Yeah.
if it's 1 or 2 people, it's like any other meetup event. If there are only 2 people going to sign up, I'm not driving. It takes, once you leave the Kenosha area, you have to drive 30-50 minutes anywhere, for anything good. I'm not driving a half an hour to an hour for 2 people,
Right. And that's so there's information out there to so people can contact you. I put the website of record, and I think there might be contact information additional to that. So I tried to make sure that people have multiple ways of getting a hold of the club through Meetup, but it's up to the club themselves as to how much they're going to leverage that by encouraging members to sign up on Meetup and respond. If anybody is interested in being the spokesperson for their club meetup, let me know. And you would want to RSVP to your club event. If you don't see it, let me know and I'll help you find it. And I can make you an admin to make sure that you can edit that information and make it your own. That's definitely a thing. I know Lori does that. Lori? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Yes, the other thing is meetup. You could say, yeah, we're gonna meet every 2 weeks, even though we're first and third or second and fourth. And then sometimes the meetup gets messed up because you're like I had a member at LOL, Sue Kahoot. Many of you know her. She'll like, we don't have a meeting. That's like Christmas. And I go, oh yeah, I gotta go in a meetup, and you edit it. And like Teresa just said, I can go in and edit the LOL meetup stuff, and then so then you cancel that meeting because you're not going to have a meeting that, and then you get it going on the right schedule. So it's important to keep an eye on meetup too. Thanks.
Yep. With the meetup that I do the southeastern Wisconsin and northeastern Wisconsin and northern Wisconsin. So I have all these clubs entered. They're all physically in the meetup information. For any of them, I would have to do 2 different events because I'll have it the first meeting of the month and then the second meeting of the month to make sure that they're keeping track so they don't cycle through as there's five of them in some months. And that way it really helps. That might be a consideration for Level of Laughter to make sure it's not wrapping, is having those 2 events. But again, the more people who are participating, the more likely the meetup is going to be attractive. And we'll go through all that at a future date, but it's definitely something that people should consider. There's also, if you've got a Facebook group, or if you've got your normal free toast host, these are all really great ways of communicating. And some of them are ways of bringing people in a little bit. Yes, Tom?
Yeah, I didn't want to change the topic, but I had a question.
Yeah.
For the group. What I had been thinking about, but not really sure if it was an option for schools like UWM or MSOE, so forth. I was wondering if they invite or allow us to have a table, like an orientation thing or a job fair. Is that something that's available? Do you have to pay for it? Has anybody ever tried that?
So I know one of the options that we're looking at is encouraging clubs to pair up and do different expos, like there's job fairs and some of them are free. There's going to be student types of events, and some of them are going to be for student orgs. So if you know a student in an organization, they might sponsor us as a table. There's, I know last year, so Amy was part of a professional expo, and she had a Toastmasters table out there. So what we did, and I actually have one sitting right here. Ta-da! It looks like a grocery bag. It's an expo bag. Every division has one, except for F, who hasn't picked it up, even though I physically live in F. So it's a box. It has all sorts of really great material for if you are at an expo. It has one of those little plastic prop-up things that you could put a sign in. It has a banner. This will come with a gigantic, like 5.5 foot tall banner. There is there's a notebook or 2, there's a clipboard, there's a bunch of pen, there's balloons, there's ribbons, there's all sorts of fun things to make your table attractive. There's a tablecloth, a physical tablecloth, not plastic. We're quality, we went with tablecloths. So that is definitely a way of reaching out to your community, whether it's at a job fair, whether it's at a street festival, whether it's at, any type of event where the community is coming together. And, you bring one of your table topic balls, you can bring some additional stuff from your club, show off your club banner, and bring a few people, have another club to pair up with you. And get out there and welcome people. Let people know that we are here. That's part of it. So I'm noticing that, so Amy was mentioning that she was at the Business Expo in May in Brookfield, and you were able to partner with somebody else who was actually doing the tables there too. So that's awesome. If multiple clubs get together and they want to go to an expo where there's a fee, I'd have to double check if we could even use district dollars. You would have to work very early on something like that to make sure we have everything together on time. But since it's not booze, I'm pretty sure we could possibly work with you on that. Lori mentions there are a number of tabletop booths in District 35. What are tabletop booths, Lori?
It was, oh my goodness, probably 15 years ago. They had extra money in the District 35 account, and they said, wouldn't it be nice to have a table topic booth? It's really pretty big. It's very heavy, but it's like a trifold. It's got 3 sides and place to put up all your material, and you just set it on the table. And I can remember I made a scrapbook that went with the original one, where you could just have this scrapbook of all these people enjoying the Toastmaster meetings and their pictures. So at the time, there were 4 divisions, and every one of the division directors got one to pass on to the next one and the next one. And, you know, and they're really nice, but I have one in my basement. If anybody would like to use it, they're very professional looking table topic booths.
I think Jason might have one. I think he finally just got it, and he's been on the trio for 2.5 years. So
Okay.
excellent. Very cool. So we've got lots of really great materials if you want to do an expo or a community table, or, you know, get out there. Farmers markets. Oak Creek did a farmers market this summer. It's a great opportunity. Amy?
Yeah, I know you need to wrap up, so I'll be short. We did do the Biz Expo, and the point I wanted to make there were 2 points. And per Lori's point, we had a banner, I think a big, large banner, so we were able to set it on the floor, which was helpful. I think it brought in, you know, helped us to be visible at this very large expo. I'll be frank, the pricing on getting booths and tables at professional events like Biz Expos, as you may know or expect, are not cheap. And the reason we were able to do it is because we did get some district dollars, and we had some money of our own budget that we used, but we had our rate was discounted because we did partner with Malamado, which is a co-working space here on the east side where we actually host our meetings. We have hybrid meetings. And that's actually why we were able to do it, because we received that discount. So I would just say, if anybody's looking at those things, to start looking now for what's being planned for 2024, different events like that. And I love the idea of college universities. I don't know if there's a fee. I would assume there could be, but I think that's an excellent idea to target early career professionals. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is 9:30. I want to be respectful of your time. So if you need to head out, I want to thank you right now. If anybody wants to stick around and continue the discussion, I've got my juice. I will sit and chat with you guys. But I did want to make sure and thank everybody for coming out this Saturday. There were a lot of great ideas. Let's see. Lori talks about having a booth at the Waukesha County Fair. I know the Walworth group actually did something at the Walworth County Fair, and lots of really great ideas rolling around. If you want to save and keep your chat to make sure you have contact information or whatever, that's definitely an option. You've probably received email from me, so I think a lot of you already have my email. It's tflynn_d35@yahoo. So if I can support your club, that's my job. I don't get paid for it. None of us do. But if I can help you brainstorm, let me know. I have to burn through some vacation, and I will have time to sit and chat. in the coming months, we are looking at starting new clubs in Kenosha, Green Bay. We're looking at restarting Sales Masters, and we are looking at a professional club with, well, a contest club with Joe Dombleski. And what was the other one that we're starting again? I know there's at least one other one that I can't think of. We're starting a corporate club at Snap-on. If you have ideas for clubs, let me know. It doesn't mean that you're signing on to sign your life away, but I'm looking at some of you guys, and I know that, oh, BMO has not a club in the Milwaukee area. I would love to help you with that. If you have ideas, let me know. If you want to help support these new clubs, let me know. We're still looking for sponsors and mentors. Thank you again for your time this Saturday. I will stay on, but I'm turning off the record.
Bye.
Thanks, Teresa.
Thank you.